Let's see. Narc, convenience has gone too far, but Ashes of Creation is fixing it in 2022. But the game is not released till 2024 at the earliest. So, what are you talking about, Narc? Let's see.
Look, we've made it halfway.
End game content.
Long and arduous journey, but
What game is this?
it's an MMORPG so magical, right? Yeah. It's been great. A bit of a what's that noise?
Menacing. Yeah. Fucking underwear, bro.
So
Redeem content skip.
hey, what up, boys?
Convenience.
A plague upon the MMORPG genre, or
Is it though? Like, I agree to an extent, yes, but also when you're playing a game that has a subscription fee and literally a lot of it is just like, well, I'm traveling from point A to point B. It's like, why does it take so long? And why is like traveling from Ironforge to Stormwind takes you 5 minutes? It's kind of like, yeah, I guess it makes the world smaller, but also it makes it like the first time you do it is fine. But the 20th time you do it, it's like, bro, I'm so done with this Ironforge Stormwind bullshit. I've seen it all. I don't care. That's, I think, the biggest problem with convenience. That's why there is convenience.
perhaps a blessing? Depends on your perspective, of course. Are you a lazy zoomer who don't got no time to waste, or are you a bitter old man who enjoys
Yes.
the pain and suffering of a good grind? Well, these are obviously two stereotypical extremes, but as the MMORPG genre has
There is a good grind, there is just a grind. The just grind is usually not fun. Good grinds are fine, but why would you do them multiple times?
evolved over the years, to me, convenience has certainly gone too far. MMOs these days are desperate to bend over backwards and offer absurd levels of convenience that just make MMO worlds feel soulless. It is no longer about the journey or the struggle. It becomes how fast and painless can we reach our destination and then
The way I see it, your first character on the brand new account should go through all the trouble. Your second one shouldn't. That's pretty much how I see it. It's not a journey for the second time. You've been through the journey. It's like rewatching a movie. Usually, also, it's like rewatching a movie as soon as you saw it. So imagine you just watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy and you have to rewatch it right away. It's not fun. Watch it again after like a few years and it's like, oh man, nostalgia and like this was such a good movie. Yeah, watching it again right away is not fun. Wrath of the Lich King is super fun. Why? Because we didn't have it for like 15 years. That's why 12 years, whatever. That's why Wrath of the Lich King is so much fun. If you had Wrath of the Lich King, then right away you have Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, guess what? People are not going to be like, oh yeah, man, I missed that. Not, right? It's like Season of Mastering Classic is shit. Why? Because you just finished Classic. You just did it. It's not fun anymore.
quit. And I'm excited to discuss this with you all today, but before we get into that,
It's-
our patrons and I would love for you to grab yourself a... What? I can't enjoy a healthy drink? Oh, fine. Coca-Cola, because Ashes of Creation isn't planning to have all these modern MMORPG traits. There's very little convenience-based systems. However, does that lack of convenience become too much of a pain in the ass to endure? Well, today, I think we'll explore this, outlining where Ashes of Creation is planning to cut back, and if these are indeed a positive for the game or a negative. And hey, I'm excited to hear your thoughts about
I
this
think it depends.
in the comments below.
But actually, he's just farming analytics for the mighty algorithm.
Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we? So I think today we'll start by outlining some pretty obvious differences between Ashes of Creation and some of our currently popular MMOs. Ashes is featuring a purely open world with no loading screens between zones, and to complement this, they have a very heavy focus on its scale. This focus manifests in multiple ways. First of all, by the sheer size of it, boasting a 1,200 kilometers squared map that was revealed during this month's livestream. This world is structured using 2 large continents and 2 smaller islands separated.
The question is, what speed are you running at or traveling at? Like 1,200, 1,200 square foot kilometer. That sounds, or is 12,000? He said 12,000, 1,200.
It's boasting a 1,200.
Yeah, 1,200. Okay, 1,200 kilometer square root map. Again, in real life, it's massive. Actually, is it? Yeah, it's pretty massive. Okay, but how fast are you traveling? So this map, let's say, can be like, what, 100 to 200 kilometers in length, maybe? But if you can get from here to here in like 4 or 5 minutes of just straight running or flying, it won't feel that big anyway, so it doesn't matter. It all depends like how fast you can go through it.
Squared map that was revealed during this month's livestream. This world is structured using 2 large continents and 2 smaller islands separated by a vast open between these land masses. However, the part that emphasizes the scale is the lack of fast travel within Vera. Teleportation is extremely limited, unlike most of our currently popular MMOs where teleporting is all but mandatory, lest a plethora of complaints from boomers with 4 jobs begin arse-slamming the forums like a furry at a dog show. It's become such a core part of our MMOs these days that the idea of no fast travel is completely ludicrous. That is, unless you're a complete PvP degenerate and have millions of dollars to straight up make your own MMO. So then,
that's some really good photoshopping. Oh shit, that actually looks like it would actually be Steven Sharif.
To do differently, and why? Well, it's quite simple really. Teleportation is frowned upon in this MMO. We've heard not a peep from mechanics like
and I feel like you need not mage portals, but you need some type of teleporters.
There is an interesting mechanic involving their family system, which acts kind of as a close-knit group of friends, and there's a summon ability within this system that allows you to teleport to one of your family members. Yes, exploitable and convenient mechanics that go directly against the game's philosophies. Interesting choice, Stephen, but I guess we don't really know how it'll work until we see it in
probably 24-hour cooldown or some shit.
So let's give it the benefit of the doubt for now and talk about something completely left field, like
I feel like that's fine, teleporting to friends.
Fast travel mechanics in this MMO do indeed involve the node system.
Like the thing is, like, is it exploitable? Probably, but the amount of people who will exploit is minuscule, so it doesn't really matter. The min-maxers might exploit it, but like, who cares? Streamers will exploit, they're gonna have their friends all around the world, they're just gonna teleport from one point to another. Don't base your game around streamers. That's pretty much it.
For a fact that there will be
also can give it like a 6-hour, 12-hour cooldown.
Typical flight points from a game like World of Warcraft Classic, and in my opinion, this is probably the best way to handle the fast travel conundrum in an MMORPG. It allows that tiny pea inside your head to retain the world's scale at the cost of some time. And although some of you may say, "But Narc, you gorgeous smelling and buff man, that time is just wasted. I've got more important things to do." And I'd say to that, you're a goddamn retard, because it is this time investment that makes MMORPG content meaningful. If you don't got the time, why are you playing an MMORPG? It's okay to stop playing this genre, guys. Nobody's gonna think you're a casual. Well, apart from people like me, of course, but hey, I'm pretty much just a parasite to society. When you're teleporting around instantly, it reduces the significance of an open world and removes important interactions like, actually seeing people in the world, and in Ashes of Creation's case, the potential for PvP. Which leads us finally onto the scientific node. Did you know there is a building within this node type that allows you to teleport instantly to other nodes within its zone of influence? Very juicy quality of life, but it doesn't stop there. You see, having 2 scientific metropoli on one server allows everyone to have an
metropolises.
setup taking you across the world high above the sky. Surely that won't result in a little bit of trolling as players are thrown to their deaths. I'd say the satisfaction of
that'd be great.
worth a little bit of corruption, am I right, guys? But do these limited fast travel options add to the game or take away? The problem with games that feature convenient travel systems is that you miss out on the feeling that makes...
Again, you don't want to miss out on the feeling. Here's a simple solution. Make it so you can't just right away teleport from place to place. You have to get there. You have to do some quests around that area before you are able to unlock that teleport spot. And there you go. You got your, what do you call it? Got your, like, world building. Like, you feel related to the world. You feel like there's nothing more for you to really explore in that area that you haven't explored already. Therefore, you traveling there again is just not going to be fun anymore. Right? Make people exhaust the area before you allow them to teleport. Right? And make it available for alt so you don't have to do it multiple times. They're done.
So special.
What is that? Big ice castle in the distance? Sir, I'll stop what I'm doing to see what a big ice castle is in the distance. Don't.
And it's really refreshing to see new players coming in.
See, the thing is, that used to be a thing. That is not a thing anymore. Look at every WoW expansion that comes out. You don't really care about places. You don't go exploring because you know there's nothing there. It's like you've been taught not to explore. Not because of convenience. Legion didn't give you the convenience. You didn't have flying. You only had your Hearthstone. You didn't have ports to like the locations until later on, until you finished the location. You didn't really have anything. It's like you didn't really care. Like you just like, okay, I'm just gonna go through the fucking zone, do the story, and I'm done. Right? People don't want to explore as much. In especially like a WoW expansion, but maybe in Ashes they will be exploring because it's a completely brand new world and you want to be the first to discover something somewhere, whatever, right? And I really hope they add like cool secret fucking places that no one knew of, like hidden walls or whatever. Not like hidden walls like in Dark Souls where you have to like hit the wall and disappears. But like, I don't know, imagine like a massive bushy area and like there's like a small spot in it that is actually a hole you can go through. And it's like, good luck finding that one out, you know? Just by mistake, you know? Shit like that. Don't make it appear on the maps.
Sense of wonder today. So then,
no, they don't.
That makes everyday travel in an MMORPG not feel so dog shit. Well, aside from creating a diverse world and interesting standout points of interest, I think it's a simple answer. Player agency. Being able to physically do something about the speed that you are moving is a major component to making moving from point A to B not feel monotonous. Whether that's through mounts or sprinting or any kind of micromanagement of resources allows your mind to focus on anything other than pressing W for a length of time. This, in my opinion, is why
If you're pressing W, you don't even know how to play. There's always an auto-run option. Just do that.
New World was labeled as a monotonous walking simulator.
Yep.
To me, this player agency component fixes all convenience-based systems. The lack of player agency is why nearly everything has been convenienced. It just feels like as MMOs were commercialized and monetized as part of the mainstream gaming community, meaningful gameplay was replaced with convenience. Retail WoW is a perfect example of this. Blizzard's devs nowadays just lack the ability or the talent to make things feel meaningful. So to supplement this, they cut...
I don't think so. I think people just don't consider anything meaningful in the game anymore. It's not new. No matter what you do now in the MMORPG, it is not new. Especially like a game like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is still World of Warcraft. Like, what can they really make? Oh, a Titan structure? Please, bro, I've seen a ton of them. You know? Final Fantasy XIV, Endwalker. Who really explored the area outside of what they would need to do for the MSQ and grabbing their ether currents? Let's be real. No one really did that. They went through the story. That's what was interesting. The story brought them to places. but it's like you didn't like stop and like holy shit. The only time that happened was like in Shadowbringers at the end of the Emmet Selk dungeon, Amorat. At the end of the dungeon, when you're like on this platform in space looking down on Earth, that was a sight. Right? Other than that, though, like no one really stops to like, and also when you were on the moon, you would look on Earth, right? But it's like that's about it, right? And if you get that vision multiple times, you're not gonna care. The only reason you care about things like that is because they're new. They give you a new perspective of the world you're playing in. You're not gonna get that almost ever. Right? In a game like Ashes where flying would be extremely hard to get, flying like a Zeppelin or whatever, like he said that like you can fly people from place to place, that would be very interesting and very cool to watch at first. And after a week, it'll be like, yeah, whatever. It's just we're just flying from point A to point B. I'm gonna go AFK real quick. I'm gonna go grab a drink while we were flying. No one cares. It's not even the convenience. It's just that it's not new and exciting anymore. We've seen all of it, right? Like players have seen it. It's not interesting anymore.
Cut out all the parts that contribute to MMORPG's immersion. Guild Wars 2 is also a prime.
Immersion is only immersion for the first time. On your second character, it's not immersive anymore. It's a chore.
For this, as it feels like the devs in that game bend over backwards to make everything convenient for us. Instant teleports every 5 seconds, easy access to dyes and transmog, popping out your asshole, access to the auction house with a press of a button, and ultra speed crafting. It's clean and feels great, but I think a lot of people would also agree that both Retail WoW and Guild Wars 2 are missing that sense of adventure in a massively multiplayer world.
What MMORPG in the recent 10 years have you gotten a sense of adventure out? Has anyone been on a massive adventure quest in Lost Ark? In Arcade? Aside from like your first boat trip, you know? Black Desert? ESO? No, you don't explore anymore. You've seen it all. It's not as interesting anymore to explore because you know there's nothing there to explore. Right? Like, where are you going to go? The end of the earth? Like, just watch a video of somebody swimming to the end of the earth. See what happens. No one wants to explore anymore. Like, it's not... You can blame the devs all you want, but the convenience is pretty much mandatory because people don't want to waste their time anymore. And I know he says, like, well, it's not wasting time. You just get more immersed in the game. No, you don't. No, you don't. The first time you do it, you're immersed in the game. The first time you see something, you're like, holy shit, that's cool. The second time you see it, it's like, oh, yeah, I remember this. That's nice. The third time you see it, it's like you don't even notice it's there. Like, you don't care. So you might as well just teleport from point A to point B because everything in that path you already seen and you don't care about. You only explore in your first couple tries at most. 1 or 2. That's it. You don't keep exploring throughout the fucking lifespan of the game. How many people are exploring in Elden Ring now? Which was a massive exploration game. Yeah, the first week was great to explore. Now, you know exactly where you need to go. Nothing is interesting. Nothing is new. Nothing is exciting. Going down to the place that's like super shiny with the fucking goat archers. First time you did like, holy fuck, man, look at this place. Second time you do it's like, ah, fuck, it's these stupid ass snipers. No, no one is exploring anymore. Just stop with the illusion.
They just feel like content conveyor belts. It's not ideal, but I think there's another reason why MMOs have regressed in such a way. And it is, of course, another opportunity to shit on our corporate overlords. Sir, he's doing it again. He's gonna shit on our pathetic leeching and monetary practices.
No, how could this be?
Liz.
We've sent him email after email, enticing him with huge sponsor offers, enough money to pay for pizza and the fabled Cobalt Cola every single day of the week. He just won't stop hounding us.
Sir, it's possible that...
Why are you in your underwear, though?
He just wants the MMORPG genre to be a genuinely better place?
Good one, Jenkins. Send him another sponsor. Double the last offer. This bold Asmongold wannabe does have a price, and we will eventually break him.
Personally, I think the reason why MMO...
So, this one is the one I do agree and I hate it. Monetized convenience is very bad for the game because then you feel like the game is slow on purpose. Like the devs made the game worse on purpose in order to sell you the convenience. Or, well, I mean, that's pretty much the only thing. And overall, it's like, you feel like you get cheated out when someone skips the stuff that you can't, because you can't afford it.
RPGs have
Or
gone
don't
down
want
this
to.
route is a result of monetization. As the genre began
I don't
to
think so, though.
player base, the devs
Some cases, yeah, like Arcade, yes. Monetization practices are bad. Convenience in, like, let's say, World of Warcraft, it's like, meh. It's like, oh, a player boost? Bro, it's 2 days to get to max level, okay, of grinding. Like, it's not a big of a deal, you know? It's like, who cares?
Surely the corporate publishers didn't try to claw the players back, they instead chose to claw the revenue back. After all, guaranteed income is far more safe and reliable than...
Oh, people with emotions, thoughts, and free will. The thought of it makes me sick.
So this led us down the route of cutting away content or balancing content around incentivizing the purchase of convenience-based microtransactions. Now, before we continue, convenience is just a way for corporate to hide the fact that they are selling us pay-to-win type items. When you're purchasing items with real-life money, such as experience boosters, level skips, extra bag slots, bank size increase, and all that shit that isn't cosmetic-based, it is a detriment to the game's progression.
Yeah.
It cheapens the feeling of immersing yourself into these fantasy worlds.
Well, the bag space actually is helping you immerse yourself more because you don't have to go back to town and sell everything every time. But yes, I agree overall.
Real life money becomes a mandatory thing slapped in your face because this stuff has a big fat padlock with dollar signs on it. MMORPGs are no longer an escapism for people. They're just another normie game designed in a way that wants to take our money. This is the reason why people want a sub fee, because with a sub fee, all that convenience bullshit is no longer a factor. This is one of the core reasons why all pay-to-win games fail, and also why all of our currently popular MMOs are mere shadows of what the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King was back in the day. MMOs no longer respect
The reason Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King were so good back in the day in terms of exploration is because you got to play these maps in a different perspective. You got to play them as an RTS. You didn't get to actually explore the world. So as soon as you made it to a third-person view and you gave the people the option to explore everything that there is in the Outlands, yes, it's way more interesting. You're gonna explore, not even because you're looking for treasure, because you're looking for the places that you saw in the strategy game you used to play back way when. Same with Wrath of the Lich King. You barely even touched the Northrend in Warcraft 3. Guess what? You get the opportunity to explore Northrend, you're gonna take it. That's why people were exploring. How come there was almost no exploration in Cataclysm? The only thing people explored was like underwater Val'Shara or whatever it was called. Vajir? I don't remember even. The water place. People were exploring because it was new and exciting to go and explore that. Right? Ul'dah, maybe going to one of the pyramids. Shit like that. But as soon as you've been to one pyramid, you've been to all the pyramids. As soon as you've been underwater for like that long, you've been everywhere underwater. Hyjal was interesting because of Warcraft 3 again. That's why I want to explore Hyjal. That's why Hyjal, being like the first zone, was fantastic. And people would like literally... Hyjal, I wouldn't even say it has the best quests out of the whole expansion, but I guarantee you, more people finished all of the Hyjal quests multiple times compared to any other zone. Not because Hyjal was interesting, because of Warcraft 3. Anything that had nothing to do with Warcraft 3, you saw people's excitement of learning about that place decrease. This is going to happen in the right MMO too. In the right MMO, when it is released, and people already know about the world, but they don't actually get to experience it, guess what? People are going to explore the fuck out of it. If the Ashes of Creation were releasing books right now, before the MMORPG release, talking about their world and like scenarios in the world, guess what? When people go into that world, they're going to go and look for those places and see those places. Because they want visual to what they're imagining in their head. All you're doing is changing perspective. That is really the only reason. You build people's what do you call it? Jesus Christ. You build people's interest in that area, and then you give them the option to explore it, they will explore it. If there's no interest in the area to begin with, people are not going to explore. If you don't give a shit about dragons in World of Warcraft, guess what? You're not going to be running around exploring Dragonflight. You don't give a fuck. If you don't care about the Shadowlands, guess what? You're not going to run around Bastion and Ardenwold exploring every little nook and cranny. You don't give a fuck. You have to have an interest in that area first before you want to explore it. You're not exploring stuff you don't care about. The only reason TBC and Wrath were interesting because people already cared about that. Same with like Psalm of Cataclysm. Guess what? Mists, not a lot of exploration happened. Okay, that's why they had to add those treasures. Because no one was, like, they knew. There's no way they didn't know. People don't know anything about Mists of Pandaria. They don't really care about it. But you know what? Let's throw treasures all over the place so they'll have to explore. We'll reward them for exploring. Right? WoD, again, to an extent you want to explore because this is like pre-TBC Draenor. Right? Legion, the only place people want to explore in Legion was the Broken Isles. Not the Broken Isles, the Broken Shore. Where Tomb of Sargeras was. And like it has a lot of elite mobs. And people would just go there. I remember the first week, I went from Dalaran, didn't even go to the questing. I just fucking jumped down and swam to the fucking Broken Shore. I want to see what's happening there. And guess what? There were a lot of players checking it out and not doing the quests. Fucking idiots like me. You need to build the interest first. You can't just expect people to explore and enjoy the world. They need to care about it.
The players no longer respect the MMOs. These convenience-based microtransactions are sold to us as a way of offering people who don't have as much time as no-lifers to get a somewhat similar experience. They claim they exist because they want to respect our time. But that's bullshit, and you know it. Convenience isn't respecting our time, it's exploiting our lack of time by selling us...
Damn, Blood Elves used to be hot.
...that they create in the first place, watering down the game for both the no-lifers and the people who lack the time because nothing has weight or meaning anymore. But I digress. I merely started this rant to vent my frustrations. I've made many videos shitting on the corporate state of the MMORPG genre because most of the time it feels like it falls on deaf ears as the years go by.
Because it does.
And the younger generation who grew up only knowing microtransactions don't really understand the problems. So let's conclude today's video.
The thing with the microtransactions, I agree. Like, those are a problem, sure. But the convenience is not the issue. It's making the game worse to sell convenience is an issue. But having convenience outside of monetization, convenience everyone can use, I don't think that's a problem. But again, it has to be unlocked at a later time. You've done exploring the whole thing, you can have your convenience. You didn't finish, nope, you gotta go and explore, you know? We want you to appreciate our world, whatever, all that stuff. Same with like, even like Legion flying, right? When it was introduced, where it's like, well, we want you to do all the quests, all the exploration, stuff like that. That's fine. Why do I have to wait an extra patch of doing nothing in order for me to get flying is not fine. There was no reason to not be able to fly as soon as you finish the whole questing, all of the questing in all the zones, finish the raid, everything. It's like you still can't fly. Why? Why do I have to wait for Suramar? Why do I have to wait for Broken Shore? Like, that makes no sense for me to wait so long for flying. It's like, I'm done exploring.
Video with a few examples of gameplay convenience and how making things easier or more accessible reduces our moment-to-moment fun using a special little chemical in our brains known as dopamine. The reason we play games at all...
What was that thing on his thing?
Dopamine.
Dopamine valve.
The reason we play games at all, aside from an excuse to neglect our real-life responsibilities, of course, is for that sweet, sweet hit of dopamine. It feels amazing when you finally get that drop that you've been waiting for, or you finally hit max level after...
See, even getting the drop that you've been waiting for doesn't even feel like a dopamine hit anymore. It feels more of a, finally, I can stop farming this bullshit. It's like, oh, 103rd run of Plague Falls. I got my trinket. Finally, I can stop running the stupid-ass fucking dungeon. It's not even like, yes, I got my fucking trinket. Let's go. Let's go. That's not it. No, you don't get that. You get now, it's like, yes, I can finally stop doing that bullshit. It's like you don't even get dopamine anymore from getting loot.
Weeks of grinding, or
at least I don't.
when you kill that bastard who stole your corium vein. It's this dopamine addiction that draws us to a long...
That does still happen though. Like if someone steals your shit and it's in PvP and you kill him, that still feels good.
Game like an MMORPG, because...
Though if you think about it, you just wasted your time and you could have probably found some more veins or something like that in the meantime instead of like fighting this idiot for an hour.
For the content you complete daily through quests, leveling, PvP, and gathering, but also for that satisfaction of being the Giga Chad who sits in the main city in full tier 6. Without a good balance of short and long-term goals in an MMORPG, then said MMORPG becomes boring. This is the biggest problem with modern MMOs, aside from the other problems I've mentioned today, because a long-term goal no longer exists. Developers are scared to death of adding long-term commitment because they know they lack the talent to create meaningful gameplay without asking us to pay to skip half of it. So I think today we'll conclude with a little game in the comments.
I think if anything, they create long-term commitment in the sense of like delaying the fuck out of you getting to your goal. So it's like, well, you can only get this piece from this set once a week. So you have to play for 12 weeks to finish your set. That is not a good long-term commitment type of building bullshit, right? That's just delaying delaying. There's no reason to do it aside from like delaying. It's like, oh, they're gonna quit our game if we don't give it to them, right? There's a different way to view convenience. I don't know. I don't agree with him on like most of this video about the convenience. The only thing I agree is like monetizing convenience. That is a problem. But as far as convenience go, as long as it's like, well, teleporting is bad because it makes the world smaller. Cool. Make teleporting available after you're done exploring the world. Done. If you're somebody who's not going to explore the world no matter what, fuck it, take your teleporting. Why would the game waste your time? If you're someone who enjoys exploring, then it's a bonus, right? But make some prerequisite to open the teleporting and you're good.
Instead of me asking you a question like I usually do, instead I want you guys to give your thoughts on systems that have been watered down by convenience over the years and ways that you hope Ashes of Creation will bring back a more old school philosophy to improve the game overall. I thoroughly enjoyed reading your comments in the previous video. It was one of our most engaging ones, hitting nearly 800 comments, and I hope you guys can give me some interesting bedtime stories to read again for...
I think the only way to make people like want to explore an area is to make that area interesting, or like make it a part of something bigger, right? Like if, let's say, I don't know, you're hunting for a certain monster, right? And you keep hearing clues about it, and the NPCs sometimes like say something about this monster or something like that. This is more like single player stuff, right? The only reason it's also like I'm thinking Witcher 3 right now. Obviously that's not how it works in Witcher 3, but whatever. And it's like, you go through a zone and you see that monster ravaged that zone, did some damage. Then you go to a different zone, you see some traces to that monster, but still did some damage. Then finally you get to that monster and you kill it. Then exploring those areas was meaningful to you. But without a proper story for the area, you don't care. Same with like Terran Mill and South Shore, I think it was called. The reason that was interesting was because of the event that people just did like 40v40 or some shit like that over there, right? And nothing else is really memorable about Terran Mill.
Or this one. Oh, okay. Oh, time to get through these 800 comments. I will start off by talking about one of the most important mechanics I think Intrepid needs to nail to a T, and it kind of fell short a little during the Alpha 1 testing, and that is looting, my friends. I think looting should be an action that you perform. In Alpha 1 it felt very shallow to spam F, and I personally don't like the very modern press F to loot things that exists in game.
I'd rather auto-loot, to be honest. Like, let it loot instantly when you kill something. I can't be bothered to stop. That's just me. But make sure that the loot that you pick up is, like, filtered to what you want.
Games like Guild Wars 2 and ESO, it's not enough of a decision, in my opinion.
You know what? One sec, gotta sneeze. Solid sneeze. You know what feels really good that happens? When you kill a bunch of mobs, you get auto loot on, and then you picked up like a legendary or like an epic item, whatever, and just like you have like a little pop-up here that shines and shit. It's like, boo, you got this shit. And you're like, hell yeah, let me check what this is. Most times looting doesn't feel that way. You're like just looting trash stuff that you're gonna sell or like dump or like disenchant, like you don't care about it. So it doesn't matter if you click on it or not. It's when you get the valuable items and it shines and it's like, ah, you got it. Oh my god. That's when like loot matters. Picking it up manually or automatically, I don't agree. I think like automatically is way better.
I think looting should be something that you do with your mouse, because by performing the action with your mouse compared to spamming F, it simulates you physically picking something up with your hands, or at least on some subconscious level.
Not really.
In that respect, looting should be manual. There should be no way
I don't agree.
to automatically loot items in a world through a pet-based systems or convenience-based systems.
I really don't agree.
However, this action, in my opinion, should be AoE based and have a fairly reasonable range, enough for you to manually loot every single pack that you kill. I also think the UI and visual feedback plays an important part in this role. For starters, loot on a mob must have an interesting and noticeable trigger that your brain recognizes as something that you want to click. Next, the feedback on the UI should be instantaneous and rewarding but subtle. In my opinion, Lost Ark tries way too hard to make you feel rewarded when you loot stuff. Because of that, over time, it no longer feels rewarding. It feels like you're a rat in a casino. Yeah,
it's just like your dopamine is just like exhausted at this point. You don't care anymore.
And they just don't trust the players to understand the value of loot. Intrepid had an interesting UI feature added in Alpha 1 where the items you looted popped up on the side, and I liked how subtle this was, but it was still a long way away from what I would like it to be. I gave feedback for this specifically in this video here. Finally, when it comes to looting rare items, because I prefer the AoE looting method, I recognize that some important loot may get lost to the UI as the large cum store
just make important loot shine or something. Right?
Of items are injected into your inventory at once. But you can solve this by utilizing an interesting mechanic Black Desert Online has, where your character actually performs a unique animation when you loot something rare with a recognizable sound and
too much effort.
But this takes finesse to
sound and flash, that's the one, yeah. But again, just show the item, like you don't have to have any animation or whatever.
The items that drop in Black Desert Online are quite literally 0.0001 drop percent things.
Yep.
It's important not to overload the player with dopamine in an MMORPG, and the desperate need to force feed us constant dopamine is one of the major factors that have ruined this genre for me. But as usual, I am just one nerd desperate for a good MMO, and my opinions mean nothing without you shaving my balls. And hey, with the live stream just one day away, I wanted to invite you. Yes, I do mean you.
I hope my opinions mean something without me shaving your balls. God damn.
Or I'd forget and then collapse because I've been awake for 30 hours. Additionally, if you were...
There's no way he's been awake for 30 hours. Look at his eyes. I don't know what he's on, but his eyes do not look tired at all. Like, they may be a bit tired, but like, no way. Dude, I look tired all the time, okay? My eyes, like, they look like I'm falling asleep while I'm like super energetic, okay? That's tired. You should see me on 30 hours of like no sleep. That's what it would look like.
Justly banned from my Discord due to RNG-based roulettes, then good news. Everyone is unbanned, so you can all rejoin. But that obviously doesn't mean that you're not susceptible to another random RNG ban chance because I end up in a bad mood.
But Narc, this trash will come too. Ashes of Creation. I just know it, but Pantheon have assured us there will be no such garbage in their game.
And to that I say, listen kid, Pantheon don't even have a game, and if you think a company who sells access just to see their forums are not desperate to inject garbage monetization the moment that they can, then please seek help because you're high on copium.
Why does he keep shitting on Pantheon? What's his history with Pantheon, bro? What is Pantheon? Rise of the Fallen. Pledge now. Is there no, like, nothing? Gameplay, anything? Videos?
The other types with different crafting is...
It really doesn't look that good, though, does it?
As a solo option skill, you world and field total shutdown.
Yeah. Doesn't even look good. This looks like a 2004 release or some shit like that. Anyways, that's it for the Narc stuff. Yeah, man. I honestly, I didn't agree with a lot of stuff on this video at all. Like, I still like the video. Obviously, it's good quality and all that stuff. But like, yeah, no, I don't think convenience wasn't made by developers unless it's monetized. Convenience was given because of the players. It wasn't like something the developers want to give. That's how it is. And it's lack of convenience will make a lot of people quit certain games, like World of Warcraft. The lack of convenience in World of Warcraft during Shadowlands is what made a lot of players quit. So, I don't know. Don't necessarily agree, but it's fine to have a different take. Anyways, that's that for this one. Peace.